welcome to Daily Dictation. This is an interactive video to help you practice your English skills. You will do so by listening to 5 sentences related to the topic of crime at a high intermediate level. After you listen to these 5 sentences, you will write down each sentence as perfectly as you can, applying the correct spelling, grammar, and punctuation. After that, I will show you what each sentence would look like when the grammar is perfect, the spelling is perfect, the punctuation is perfect, and explain some of these grammatical structures to you, as well as give you some spelling tips and tricks to help you practice your English skills. This is a skill that's best developed if you practice from Monday to Friday. So there's new sentences each weekday, new topics each week, and 2 English levels offered. The instructions for this activity. You'll need a blank piece of paper and a pencil. 5 sentences will be read. Each sentence will be read 3 times and 1 more time at the end. You have to write down each sentence exactly as you hear it, and you will use your listening skills to do that. Try your best to apply the correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. Now you're going to see on the screen numbers 1 to 5. Each number represents a different sentence that will be read. I'm going to read each sentence 3 times and 1 more time at the end, starting with sentence number 1. Number 1. The victim went to trial after the robbery. The victim went to trial after the robbery. The victim went to trial after the robbery. Number 2. The witness described the vandalism in detail to the police. The witness described the vandalism in detail to the police. The witness described the vandalism in detail to the police. Number 3. The penalty for assault included a jail sentence. The penalty for assault included a jail sentence. The penalty for assault included a jail sentence. Number 4. When the evidence was presented, it proved the vandalism case. When the evidence was presented, it proved the vandalism case. When the evidence was presented, it proved the vandalism case. Number 5. The trial ended with a fair sentence for the suspect. The trial ended with a fair sentence for the suspect. The trial ended with a fair sentence for the suspect. Now I'm going to read each sentence 1 more time, starting with sentence number 1. The victim went to trial after the robbery. Number 2. The witness described the vandalism in detail to the police. Number 3. The penalty for assault included a jail sentence. Number 4. When the evidence was presented, it proved the vandalism case. Number 5. The trial ended with a fair sentence for the suspect. All right, let's get ready to have a look at our sentences. If you found that this video was too fast or too difficult, I recommend that you listen again. If it was too fast, you can listen again and adjust the playback speed to make it go slower. If you just need to listen to specific sentences again and the speed doesn't matter, just check the description for timestamps. Now we're going to look at each of our answers. The first one, the victim went to trial after the robbery. The victim is the subject of our sentence. Went is the main verb, and then we have the preposition to and the noun trial. Then we have a conjunction. After is a subordinating conjunction, and then the robbery is the noun here. And this is a dependent clause, and this is an independent clause. So our independent clause is first, and our dependent clause is second. So because we have our clauses in this order, we do not need a comma. For spelling, there are two tricky words. Victim can be a hard word because sometimes you hear people say victim, and it sounds like there's a U here, and that's what makes it really hard. So you really have to remember that there is only I's as vowels in this word. Robbery is another difficult word because there's a double consonant, so I would split it right here, robbery, to help you remember. For number 2, the witness described the vandalism in detail to the police. The witness is the subject. Described is the verb. The vandalism is the object. Now, we do provide more context by adding this preposition in detail. This is an example of a collocation. These words will go together really often in English. Other examples are pay attention. These two words go together, really common. Spend time is another example of collocation. So when two words come together, really common in especially spoken English, but also because we speak it so much, it comes up really often in written English, like we see here. Then we have our preposition to connect this this object and this noun here to this noun over here. Spelling that might be difficult in this sentence, witness. So split it in half like this, witness. This is a really common suffix or ending in English. And vandalism, I would split it into 3 smaller parts. Vandalism. So you can remember where each of the vowels go. Number 3, the penalty for assault included a jail sentence. So over here, what we have is kind of like a noun phrase. The penalty is the main subject here. And we have more context. So we have this preposition and then a noun. So it's saying the penalty, which is the subject of the sentence. And it tells us what the penalty is for. What is the reason for getting this penalty? Then we have our main verb in the simple past, a jail sentence. So this is our noun here. So what was involved in this penalty? A penalty is a consequence, like a legal consequence. For spelling, tricky words, this could be assault. So we can split it up with as and then salt. These are 2 smaller words that create one word. And that's how I remember it because this is the same spelling as like salt on the table, or no, it's not. It's the same spelling as like there's a place in Canada called Sault Ste. Marie, and that's what that is. That's how you spell Sioux. Actually, doesn't really sound like that. And then as is a short word in English as well. Penalty, you can split this up into 2 parts. Pen-LT. For 4, When the evidence was presented, it proved the vandalism case. So there's a couple key things for this one. We're starting with a subordinating conjunction when. And this tells us that we're working with a dependent clause at the beginning because we're starting with that subordinating conjunction. So this all is a dependent clause. After that, we have our independent clause. We have our subject, we have our verb, and we have the object. So this is independent, and that would make complete sense if it stood alone. So we know it's independent. Because we have dependent first and independent second, which is different from number one. Now we do need a comma here. So whenever you have the dependent clause first and the independent clause second, you do need a comma, and the signal to this is starting with this conjunction. And when you have this, you're also going to have two objects or two subjects of the sentence. So here the evidence is one and it is another one, in two different parts. Now for spelling, evidence can be split up, evidence, like that. And vandalism would be split up the same ways up here to remember the letter order of those difficult words. Another thing for grammar that we want to be sure of is was is in simple past form. So our main verb proved has to be in simple past form as well because we want our tense to stay consistent throughout both clauses in our sentence. Number 5, the trial ended with a fair sentence for the suspect. So the trial is the subject, ended is the verb in simple past. And like we mentioned before, this is a common pairing of words, collocation. So we always have ended and we'll always have the word with to show us what is happening at the end of an event usually. And a fair sentence. So we have our article, this is our noun, and this is an adjective. And even more context is given using this preposition. We use this preposition to connect the noun sentence with the noun suspect. Sentence is the same as I can write a sentence in English. Suspect, this can be a little bit harder because it's hard to hear these two consonants. So make sure that you try your best to remember, and you can even split it up here, sus, and then pecked, even though we don't really pronounce it that clear when we're talking really fast. So that is a bit of a breakdown of some of the grammar and spelling tips and tricks related to the words. The words this week that we're focusing on are in bold, and they're all related to the topic of crime. So to familiarize with yourself with these words, study robbery, victim, vandalism, assault, witness, evidence, trial, penalty, and sentence. So as you study these words, make sure you know the different word forms, make sure you know how to put them in your own sentences when you're speaking and writing, and make sure you understand the grammar around each of these words, because this is a topic that can come up on a proficiency exam, and it is quite common in daily English because things related to crime come up on the news a lot. So if you're just living in an English-speaking country, then you might hear these words quite often if you watch the news. Besides that, we are all finished for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.